What's going on, guys? I come to you all today with some great news about the Minnesota Vikings. Their stadium deal is finally official. You might be saying to yourself right now, Hurricane, I've been living underneath a rock for the last few weeks. And of course, I knew about the bill going through the House and the Senate multiple times after amendments. And those were the two giant hurdles the Vikings had to worry about. And then Governor Dayton signed it. He's been behind this bill. And then the Minneapolis City Council today was the final hurdle the Vikings had to get past. And the bill was approved. And the Vikings will be officially getting a new stadium. And you see right here the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. Well, the new stadium is expected to be complete by 2016, which means that Madden 17 should have the new Vikings stadium when that gets here. And of course, they'll probably play a year or two in TCF Bank Stadium. That'd be pretty cool, play some outdoor football in Minnesota. Should be a lot of fun come December, but I've just been monitoring this entire storyline for the past I don't know how many months, and I love the Vikings. It's the only team in sports that I'm truly passionate about. I like the Twins and some other teams from Minnesota as well, but it's always been about the Vikings for me ever since second grade when I just started watching football, and I just love the sport from the very beginning, and I love the Minnesota Vikings back in the Dante Culpepper eras when I started watching the team and Randy Moss back then. And ever since then, I've loved this team. I've only missed a handful of games, most of them when I was really young. But other than that, I watch all the games. I've been to 3 Vikings games myself. 1 preseason game. The first game, Brett Favre was a Minnesota Viking against the Kansas City Chiefs. I was there when the Vikings lost to the Eagles in the 2008 Wild Card Weekend playoffs against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then I was there in 2010 when the Vikings beat the Bills. And that was the last game the Vikings played before the stadium collapsed. So I obviously knew about the Vikings wanting a new stadium for the past decade and all this talk about LA Vikings. I heard enough of that. I lived in Wisconsin for 13 years of my life, so I heard plenty of LA Viking talk. I never wanted to see the Vikings move to Los Angeles, although I was asked by some of my subscribers in live streams and on Twitter, would I have still been a Vikings fan if they went to Los Angeles, and I would say definitely, even though I've seen even Nada's fans had a team ripped away from him, the Minnesota North Stars, and now he's a Minnesota Wild fan. I just think I have way much more love and loyalty for the Minnesota Vikings than I do for the state of Minnesota. So the Vikings would have always been my team, I think. But I'm just happy they're staying in Minnesota where they belong, at least for the next 30 years, and hopefully in a beautiful new stadium. They'll host a Super Bowl, hopefully in 2017 or whenever that's built. And even though the Vikings have been a struggling team for most of the time that I've been a Vikings fan, I've always loved watching them play, and I'm happy I'll be able to watch them play for a much longer time here in Minnesota. And even though like last year was a very tough season, one of the worst seasons of all time, 3-13, but I never took it for granted because I never wanted the Vikings to leave, and I knew I would be the saddest person in Minnesota if the Vikings had to leave. And so the Vikings are getting a new stadium. It's officially official now. After all of these hurdles have been crossed, the Vikings will be getting a new stadium. And I'm hoping I'm still making videos when that stadium comes out, and I can follow up on this in 2016, 2017, whenever it is. But the Vikings are getting a new stadium. It's official. I'm happy. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment on the video, leave some feedback, and I'll see you guys next time. LA Vikings. Come on, man.